If you insist on concurrent hybrid training, if you insist on training strength and hypertrophy at the same time, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is actually possible for some groups of people to get good results with, here are some recommendations as to how to structure your plan to do the best with what you have, right? First of all, you're going to choose, as far as all of your exercises for any given session, you're going to choose more compound free weight exercises because they're the ones that make you stronger, right? So you're not going to be, compared to the average hypertrophy trainee, doing as many machines or as many cables. You're going to be doing more barbells, more dumbbells, so on and so forth. In each session, or almost each session, the first thing you're going to do is perform those compound strength-based exercises in the 3 to 6 rep range. Almost every session, that's what you do first because you're fresh, right? Accessory movements to enhance hypertrophy are going to be performed after in probably the 6 to 12 rep range because 6 to 12 grows a great deal of muscle, but neurologically, it's not as different as sets of 20 or 30. Those would prepare your nervous system very poorly for strength and actually sort of potentially make it even short-term worse at strength. Sets of 6 to 12, still very close to those low rep sets. They don't detract from your nervous system as much, but they also add size. So it's kind of a little bit more of a happy medium, though not an optimum. Lots of sets of 6 to 12 in the accessory movements, but you want the accessories to be very related to your strength movements, so they're still strength enhancing. For example, a bodybuilder might do some squats and move on to leg extensions. As a person who's doing a hybrid training, a concurrent program who wants to enhance power and strength as much as, size and strength as much as possible, they might do squats first, just like the bodybuilder, but then they would move into high bar close stance squats or high bar close stance squats on a Smith machine or front squats or maybe hack squats or leg presses. But leg extensions are so far away from specificity and from transferring to strength. They're not as compound, they're not as heavy, they don't require as much coordination that maybe they wouldn't choose them as much. And if you could say, well, I could definitely do more sets of leg press than hack squat and they beat me up less, well, yeah, or leg extension more than hack squat, yeah, but you're definitely missing out. You're not going to be getting your optimal hypertrophy, but you're going to be doing a decent job at it while getting as strong as you can given that context. Number 4, you're going to begin at your hypertrophy minimum effective volume. That means you're getting some pumps, you're getting a little sore, nothing to write home about, you're not getting super blast crazy optimum workouts, and you're going to stick close to it. And you're going to progress mostly in load week to week. Maybe you progress in sets a little bit. But so for example, if your minimum effective volume is roughly 10 sets per week for hypertrophy, maximum recoverable is like 20. If you're doing a concurrent program, you start at 10 and you just increase load more than you usually would. Maybe you end at 10 or maybe end at 12. You sure as hell aren't going at 20. That is how a concurrent program in any one week does the best job. However, ideally, you would not do this, and especially if you're advanced, we'll get to that in a bit, you phase potentiate. What does that mean? It's actually a super complicated term. It's actually super easy. For 2 to 3 mesocycles in a row, like 3 or 4 months, you do hypertrophy training, but because you want to be bigger and stronger in the long term, you stick mostly in the 6 to 15 rep range, but you start each session with strength building exercises, 4 sets of 5 to 10, and then later do exercises that are in the 10 to 15 rep range. Gives you a really good combination of both, but a really close to optimal hypertrophy stimulus while keeping you sort of neurologically and technically, by practicing those movements, ready to transition to strength, which is what you do next. So after 2 to 3 months of hypertrophy training, hypertrophy for strength, you do strength training